Time, it flows endlessly forward, or so we believe. But what if time could be manipulated? Not paused or reversed, but accelerated, pushed to its very edge. What if someone forced the entire universe to rush toward its own end, to collapse, die, and be born anew? In JoJo's bizarre adventure, Stone Ocean, that someone is Father Enrico Pucci, a priest and the wielder of Made in Heaven, a stand that does the unthinkable. It rewrites the flow of time itself, and as ridiculous as it sounds, Pucci's actions echo real scientific ideas at the cutting edge of cosmology and theoretical physics. Today, we'll unravel how JoJo's most surreal moment might just be grounded in the deepest truths of our universe. This is the physics and philosophy behind Made in Heaven.
Made in Heaven.
To understand Made in Heaven, we have to start with the basics. What is time? In everyday life, time feels like a steady, unchanging rhythm. But Einstein shattered that illusion in 1905. According to special and general relativity, time is not universal. It bends, it stretches, it slows down or speeds up, depending on velocity and gravity. If you travel at speeds close to light, time slows for you. If you're near a massive object, like a black hole, time dilates. It ticks slower compared to someone far away. Astronauts on the International Space Station age slightly slower than people on Earth. This isn't theory, it's observed fact. But here's where Pucci defies physics. Made in Heaven doesn't affect just local time. It accelerates the flow of time across the entire universe, all at once. This is where science fiction takes the wheel. There's no known physical mechanism that allows universal temporal acceleration. Time in relativity is always relative, local to your frame of reference. What Pucci does is create a global time warp, something we don't currently believe is physically possible. But metaphorically, it mimics another very real process. Let's talk entropy. Entropy is a measure of disorder, or more precisely, the number of ways a system can be arranged. The second law of thermodynamics tells us that in a closed system, entropy tends to increase over time. This is why ice melts, buildings crumble, stars burn out. Over cosmic timescales, the universe is moving toward maximum entropy, a state where all usable energy is gone. No light, no heat, no structure, just cold, dark uniformity. This is the so-called heat death of the universe. It's not an explosion. It's not a bang. It's a slow, quiet fade into nothingness. And Pucci, intentionally or not, is accelerating this process. By pushing time forward at an incomprehensible speed, he's rushing the universe toward heat death. In that sense, Made in Heaven is a metaphysical entropy bomb. The stand doesn't destroy things by force. It simply lets time do what it always does, just faster. Stars burn out, galaxies collapse, and eventually all returns to void. But why would anyone want this? To understand that, we need to understand Father Enrico Pucci, a devout Catholic, a man who believes in divine order, and above all, a disciple of the vampire who dreamed of controlling fate itself. Pucci isn't just trying to destroy the world, he wants to perfect it. He believes that suffering comes from the uncertainty of life, from people not knowing what fate has in store. If you remove that uncertainty, if everyone knows their future, then fear disappears. Pain becomes tolerable. Death becomes meaningful. That's his twisted theology. By accelerating time and resetting the universe, Pucci can craft a world where every soul is born with complete awareness of their destiny. No surprises, no deviation, only acceptance. In his eyes, that's heaven. In reality, it's a deterministic prison. One where free will is sacrificed for comfort, where individuality dies under the weight of inevitability. That's the price Pucci is willing to pay for what he calls peace. Pucci's dream is built on one idea, that fate can be known. That if people are born with perfect knowledge of what's to come, they'll live without fear. This is the philosophy of determinism, the belief that every event, thought, and outcome is the inevitable result of previous causes. And in 1814, French physicist Pierre-Simon Laplace imagined a terrifying consequence of that idea. He said, if a mind, now known as Laplace's demon, could know the position and momentum of every particle in the universe, it could calculate the entire future. Nothing would be uncertain. Nothing would be free. This is what Pucci tries to create. A world ruled by perfect prediction. a clockwork universe. But there's one fatal flaw in his theology. Modern physics doesn't allow it. At the quantum level, reality is not a perfect machine. It's a storm of probabilities, uncertainties, and wave functions. The Heisenberg uncertainty principle tells us that you cannot know both the exact position and momentum of a particle at the same time. The more precisely you measure one, the less you know about the other. This isn't a flaw in our tools. It's a fundamental property of the universe. Reality is indeterminate at its core. Even with all the information in the universe, Pucci's dream fails, because the universe itself is unpredictable. The very particles that make up your body don't obey his divine logic. They dance in chaos. And in the end, so does fate. But what about the universe resetting? When Pucci accelerates time to its final limit, the world ends. But not in fire, not in ice, in a complete cosmological reset. A new timeline is born. This echoes a theory in modern cosmology called the Big Bounce. In this model, the universe doesn't expand forever. Instead, after reaching a maximum size, gravity pulls it back into a big crunch, a singularity, a collapse, and from that, a new Big Bang, a fresh universe, with possibly different physics, particles, and structure. What Pucci does with Made in Heaven is an artistic version of this cycle. He doesn't just accelerate time, he drives the universe to entropy collapse, then rides the bounce into a new world that he designs. But one thing survives. Emporio al Nino, the final survivor, a child genius with no stand powerful enough to defeat a god, but with enough memory to remember the old world. When the universe resets, everyone forgets. But Emporio retains everything. How? Let's talk about quantum information. In modern physics, especially in the study of black holes, there's a puzzle. What happens to information when matter falls into a black hole? Stephen Hawking once suggested it might be lost forever, but later theories, like the holographic principle, argue that information is never truly destroyed. It's always encoded somewhere, preserved. Emporio may represent this concept, a living remnant of a collapsed timeline, a carrier of cosmic memory, like a quantum imprint that refuses to vanish. He becomes the anti-Pucci, not the architect of fate, but the guardian of freedom. And in the final moment, he uses weather report to destroy Pucci inside a collapsing timeline. This act deletes Pucci from the fabric of space-time. And with his absence, the next reset creates a world with no memory of his influence. Now let's step back. JoJo's bizarre adventure is wild, ridiculous, sometimes absurd, but hidden inside the absurdity is something brilliant. Hirohiko Araki didn't need to do any of this. He could have made Pucci's power a magic spell. He could have ended Part 6 with a simple victory. Instead, he gave us a villain who manipulates time like a relativistic field, pushes the universe toward thermodynamic collapse, constructs a deterministic theology grounded in classical physics, and is ultimately defeated by quantum, unpredictability, and human memory. Araki didn't just tell a story, he wove a cosmic allegory. In Made in Heaven, he created one of the most conceptually rich powers in all of fiction. And in Pucci, he crafted a tragic god, brought down not by strength, but by science. In the end, Pucci tried to become destiny, but destiny is not a straight line. It's a storm of randomness, memory, time, and choice. That's what makes us human, and that's why Pucci lost. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this breakdown of JoJo's physics, philosophy, and storytelling, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with your stand-using friend. And remember, even in a bizarre universe, science always finds a way.